So compared to a typical blog post, these have 2x the amount of time on page. And even compared to other blog posts that have other videos, it was still 25% higher. It was about like 4 to 5 minutes average time on page.
Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free. And now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SaaS SEO Show. I'm your host, George Hasiotis, and today I'm very happy to be joined by Natalie Marcotullio. Natalie is the head of growth and operations at Navattic, where she focuses on helping SaaS companies give their prospects a better buying experience. She has background in SEO and marketing for B2B SaaS. Over the years, her focus has shifted to full funnel marketing, go-to-market strategy, and improving the digital buyer experience. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So I would like to dive a bit deeper into your background and get to know what has brought you to where you are today. So if you could, especially when it comes to SEO, I would love to know what SEO has contributed to your involvement professionally. So if you could share a few things about your background, that would be a great way to kick things off.
Yeah, I always joke SEO is like my first marketing love. I started in SEO and digital marketing, sort of growth hacker back in the days when growth is more a hacky term rather than a real long-term profession like I'm head of growth now. But started self-taught SEO and really just learned quickly the value of, creating that high quality content and seeing how my first job, it was one of our major lead sources. And from there on, just have brought that with other company I've been to, just replicating that SEO practice of how do you just make sure you get high quality domain experts and creating unique content, and really have seen that success time throughout. So while I focus on a lot of different things now, still always see the value of SEO, and definitely is still a big part of my marketing strategy.
Do you see, and I guess that, I already know the answer to that, but I would like to hear from you, but do you see changes over the years in how SEO is done and what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I think we're all noticing this, is there's just way too much content these days, right? Like you used to be able to rank on a medium difficulty keyword, and it wouldn't take too much. You could kind of outsource it to a random writer, have them write a decent post, and then generally rank. And these days, there's just way too many pieces kind of recycling the same content, saying the same things. So one, finding, like I said, a domain expert, the reader can clearly tell if the article sounds like they know what they're talking about or not. But then two, just making it a little unique, offering your own data, perspectives, examples. I've seen that go a long way.
Okay, that's a great answer. I like that. So now that you are leading growth and operations at Navattic, and I hope that I pronounced it correctly.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, can you please share with people who have never heard of Navattic before what the company is and how you who you help and how you help them?
Yeah. So I explain Navattic as basically try before you buy experiences for software. So if you want the chance to go to someone's website or in a link in an email and you want to try to get hands-on with the product without having to set up an account or sit on a demo, you can do that directly through an interactive demo. And they're all no code, but they look and feel like your actual software. It's not just screenshots. As far as who typically uses it and get value, we do see product marketers, growth marketers, demand gen marketers are typically the ones that maybe bring it in-house or implement it or actually build out these interactive demos. But really, it's funny, the sales team typically gets some of the most value because by seeing the product before jumping on a call or before jumping into the product itself, the prospect or user is now educated on the product. So it's not like they're flying blind. They're not just requesting a demo or signing up for your software because they want to see it for the first time. They understand what it is and its value.
I think that you will see more content marketers moving forward using the product, but we will discuss about that in a minute. Before that, I would like to discuss something that sparked my interest from your homepage. Now, right below the fold, you allow visitors to play around with your product. And I'd like to know why you do that and how this impacts visitors reach an aha moment, let's say, a moment of value, pre-conversion.
Yeah, so that's actually an interactive demo. It's always a little hard in Meta to explain. Like we have an interactive demo of an interactive demo software right above the fold of our website. If you go to Navattic.com, you can see it for yourself. But we do it for two reasons. One, we like to drink our own champagne, eat our own dog food, whatever you call it. We find it's really important to say, we believe in these things. We believe in it so much that it's above the fold on our website. But two, we see results from it as well. Exactly what I was just talking about before of more qualified leads. We're a smaller team. Being able to know that our sales team, almost everyone they talk to, at least understands the product and has value and have seen it, is really important. And I listen to call recordings a lot. And some of the best things you can hear as a marketer is when a prospect jumps on and says, I did the demo, I get the overview, I get what you do. Can you just, show me the details or walk me through building one myself? It's so clear that it's a much better first call experience that goes much faster and then converts much higher.
That makes sense. And I found it to be very interesting for different reasons, I guess, than those of a salesperson. But I really I think that it was a different experience, let's say, than the ones that I'm used to, and I guess other people are used to nowadays. Now, today we are going to talk about interactive content, and obviously, every different people have different opinions, and everyone has their own way of perceiving things and doing things when it comes to content and SEO, and the same applies to interactive content. But I guess that we will focus more prominently to a specific type of interactive content. But before we do that, I would like to know why you think that companies need more interactive content today compared to a few years ago.
I think there are a few reasons out there. I think one is the rise of PLG, right? We've seen it's a huge buzzword right now, and unfortunately, not all companies can just easily go PLG. It's not everyone can dedicate a year of engineering resources to build out a free trial or freemium, but they're being pushed by the market to ask, I want some interactive content. I want to experience your product in some way. I don't just want screenshots, or I want to get hands-on. So one is giving someone hands-on ability, especially in this kind of PLG focused world, even if you can't really necessarily build out that PLG motion. But even so, just on top of that, we've seen, I think it was a report from Trust Radius said that 100% of buyers want some sort of self-serve motion. Buyers are used to B2C motions right now. They want to be able to go on, explore for themselves, learn from themselves. They're kind of sick of being funneled into a certain path, whether it is PLG or sales led. So I think just giving the users more choice and letting them choose how they want to learn about your product and how they want to interact, rather than, again, forcing them down a specific funnel.
I think that what you mentioned, the word self-serve, makes so much sense. I experienced that recently with in a totally different context. We started, as we had our first son with my wife. He came 2 months ago, and we started ordering from the supermarket that we used to visit, because it was easier for us not to go to the supermarket, and we started using their let's say website to start ordering from the supermarket. And when things arrived for the first time, I was mind blown, because they also brought us 6 packs of water and everything, and I was like, oh man, it's so easy. Really, it's so easy, and it makes life so much easier not to have to go there to interact with people, to have all this struggle, I guess, and it makes things so much easier. And I guess that this obviously is a personal example, but I see many extensions of that in our professional lives as well. We expect and depending on your like personality, you may also welcome not to have human assistance, for example. And so I really think that, you know, this makes sense. And if, you know, interactive demos are one of the ways to achieve that, I don't know, but it seems that, you know, it could be. It seems that it could be. As I understand it, like we are going to discuss obviously interactive content, but my question is, because we also had a guest here from a company that did something different, but I just want to really grasp it. As I understand it, it's kind of being able to explore, for example, a web page or, you know, a product UI using buttons and just, you know, doing it just all by yourself. My question is, since we are talking about interactive content, how do you think this is different from, you know, doing a screencast and presenting things on a screencast, or something different like Scribe? I don't know if you know them, Scribe How, or something like that. We had the head of content on the show as well, and I would like to know how this is different and how you perceive it to be different than, let's say, screencasts or other types of content.
Yeah, I think the main way is the fact that this content really is interactive in the sense that it's kind of also choose your own adventure. So we have, for example, a little checklist feature where you can go in and say, you know, I only care about this one use case, or I only care about this one feature. Rather than having to go through the entire demo, you can go in and choose the part that you care about the most. And especially like a screen recording or Loom video, because we get that a lot. You know, you have to watch the entire video in order to see like, okay, does this apply to me? As well as video sometimes feels a little bit like it's produced, and a lot of the product videos do feel produced. So you're not exactly sure, like, is this the actual UI? Is this actually what it looks like? Or is this kind of the played up version of it? So I think the interactive demo one, again, it's a little more, you can choose what you want. You can explore on your own rather than feeling like you just have to watch a video. And then two, it's a little more trustworthy. As far as Scribe, from my understanding, they're used more for, you know, tutorials and how-tos and more of a screenshot-based approach, while interactive demos do look and feel like your real product. So it really feels like you're in it, kind of like you've logged in with tooltips already on it. And that's because we take those front end HTML, CSS captures rather than just screenshots.
That makes sense. And with all these tools, you know, my mind as a person who runs a company always goes to, okay, but can we use it? Could we use it for our own clients? But this is something that I will ask in a minute. Before that, I want to know or to ask if you could share some use cases of interactive content so that we can understand it better. And this could be, I don't know, from your customer websites or things that you have tried on your own website, anything at all that would help us paint a more clear, let's say, picture.
Yeah, I always say the best way to understand these is to see them. So happy to share some examples. I'm going to go ahead and actually share my screen. And for the audio listeners, I'll do my best to talk through it.
Let's do it.
The first one I'm going to here is ramp.com. So if you go to Ramp, you should see a little explore product button, CTA at the top. Oh, and I just click that. So right here is Ramp. We're actually in the interactive demo. So what you'll notice is it's hosted on the Ramp URL. It looks and feels like you're actually in the product, but we got here just from clicking one button on their website. And so if I dive in, you can see it looks, and again, this is the look and feel like I'm actually using Ramp, but I also am a little guided, right? It's not like I can just completely go off the rails and click wherever I want. It's really showing those aha value moments right up front. And it's the first thing I see, rather than a lot of times in a free trial, you kind of just jumped into an open sandbox. And one thing I love to point out with Ramp here, to do a great job, and this is typically what we recommend after like 5-8 steps, you know, throw in a CTA and give them an option, either keep going or start a free trial. And if I can click continue here, this is where that checklist feature I mentioned pops up. And so you can see here, if I'm an accountant, I can just go straight into the accounting section. I don't need to necessarily go through the entire rest of the demo if I only really care about that one feature. So this Ramp kind of full embed on a website or link out to a website is one of our most common use cases.
Okay, that's very interesting. And I really like the checklist. I guess it gives you more control over the experience. Like now I saw that, but I'm mostly interested in expense management, for example. Can I check just that? Because this is the feature that I'm mostly here for. Yeah, that's very interesting. And you can start the interactive demo with expense management. That's very interesting. And even though obviously the value is mostly for, you know, sales and things like that, or I don't know, customer success, maybe if they want to explain how a process works. I see value for content creators as well, because I think, like, you know, how we can leverage that, but we will discuss that in a minute. Can we jump to the second example that you have for us?
Yeah, I'm actually going to jump ahead because talking about like content creators, product marketers, I think a really common use case is the product pages and wanting to kind of spice those up, or even for feature announcements or for new product releases. Like, what are ways that you can make it a little more interesting? So right now I'm on Julie's page, Julie AI, and if you go to their product dropdown, I'm going to go to their pipeline page. And so, as I was talking about, typically on these product pages, you sort of get the static screenshots, maybe some GIFs. What they've done here is they've created a really quick interactive demo of their pipeline feature. So if I go through it, it only takes about like 4 steps. It's interactive, so it feels like I'm actually clicking around the product and typing in notes here, let's say. And that's it. It's only 5 steps and then pushes me to either a demo or in some cases a free trial. But I actually felt like I understood that feature a lot more than, like I said, just a static screenshot.
Okay, that's very interesting. I really like it. I really like where this is going. And you know, well done to Dooley for integrating that on their web, for building that. I guess with Navattic, and for integrating that on their website. I think that this makes for a great experience.
Yeah, it's almost sometimes our customer examples, like they build just such beautiful demos, it makes my job too easy because all I gotta do is show off the great work that they did. And I think it's much easier to understand once you see it, like, oh, wow, I understand how companies are using it out there.
It's way more interactive. You know, it's way more interactive. So, and I think that these are the kinds of experience, regardless of the lens that you want to see it through, like sales, content, customer success, whatever. I think that this is what we need nowadays. We need more of that and less you know, of anything else that's a bit more static. And yeah, I really like it. Let's move on to the next one, I guess.
Yeah, this will be the last one I'll share for now because this is the content page, and this is a use case we are seeing pick up is using it in blog posts, using it in content. So this is our customer Clue. If you go to their blog, it's introducing triage mode. It's one of their new features. And so on the blog, you have typical introduction. They do have text as well. What I love about this is truly the let people learn how they want to learn. So they have text, they have a GIF here, they have quotes, and then they have an interactive demo. So about halfway through the page, you can take a quick tour after you've read a little bit about the new feature and really experience it for yourself. So again, if I'm, let's say, a user and want to learn how to set up this feature, rather than having to read an entire document, seeing how to set it up or understanding what it is, or maybe having to watch like a 30-minute webinar, I understood this in less than 10 clicks.
That's fantastic. That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. I really like the examples, and I like the fact that we search something from the blog as well. I think that this is a great, you know, way of approaching things. I really love that. Are we going to see anything else? I would love to see just examples, but I don't know. This is the last one, I guess.
Yeah, I'll show. I wanted to show just one way that we're experimenting with it because it's a little different in blog posts rather than necessarily just showing your own product. And what we've seen more and more is people showing that like integrations or partnerships. Like the beauty about these interactive demos is you can really show anything you have access to. So we created a webinar series where we had our guests talk about their favorite websites. And so often when you do these blog post recaps, you know, you want to just show the users the value you got from the interview or the webinar as quick as possible. So what I am experimenting with is I created these quick little interactive demos of the actual Ahrefs page. And this is a very, I would say, non-traditional use case for interactive demos. But rather than, you know, if you just want to quickly understand why was this our guest's favorite page, you can jump in and I just kind of highlighted all the different features he mentioned of between social proof, the copy itself, why was Ahrefs his favorite page? So just cool little other example to think about as you're creating these, podcasts, interview series, LinkedIn posts. How can you maybe spice it up with a little bit of like interactive content?
That's amazing. That's great, and I really like it. Like it's a fresh, let's say, way of doing things. It's not something that you see every day online. So it's a different experience, and I really love that. And it so happens that Ahrefs is the sponsor of this show, so it makes it even better. But I really like it. Really, really well done. I guess that we can go back to the. Okay, that was great. I could, go on and on with that, but I guess the question that I have for you here is that's great, and I really like the example that you shared from Navattic's blog. But does that have an actual impact? Like, do you have anything that you can share with us on how is that different from having, I don't know, just screenshots or anything else?
Yeah. And so we're just starting to experiment with this. So this is early numbers, but what we've been seeing so far is that these demos have the highest amount of like dwell time or average time on page. So compared to a typical blog post, these have 2x the amount of time on page. And even compared to other blog posts that have other videos, it was still 25% higher. It was about like 4 to 5 minutes average time on page. And when we think about video content became so popular in blogs because, again, trying to increase dwell time, trying to increase engagement on the blog itself. This is just a new form. As people maybe see like a 10-minute video, they might be a little turned off and don't want to watch it all, but maybe they see a quick like 5-step demo and that keeps them on the page longer and keeps them engaged and hooked.
I think that if you want to see it merely from an SEO standpoint, it makes perfect sense if there was a target. Let's say that there was a target keyword behind that page. Having someone spend twice the time that they would spend if there was just text and some graphs or images, I think that if anything sends a very positive signal that, you know what, I found what I was looking for. And not only that, I'm also having a great experience on this page. And I mean a signal to Google. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it goes back to a little bit of what I was saying at the beginning, where SEO is really concentrated these days. There's so much content out there, and really any way to stand out or be unique can really help give a leg up and help people stay on your page and want to explore it more. I especially think because it's not like a pop-up, it's not intrusive. You can choose to interact with it or not. It generally creates a more positive, as you said, a positive user experience. And then as we know, Google's really focusing on the positive user experience right now. So then it's sending those helpful signals to Google.
Yeah, it makes sense. As I mentioned previously, I always like to put myself in our clients' shoes, let's say. And if we were to use something like Navattic for one of our clients, one of the first questions I know we'd get is, do we need a developer for that? Do I need to request development time? Knowing that it's often difficult to request and get development time inside SaaS companies, because guess what? Content and SEO are almost never a priority. How do you make the case and explain that interactive content doesn't necessarily have to be technical?
Yeah, I think that's actually one of my favorite things about interactive demos. They're entirely no code. And I was actually a customer of Navattic before joining, and I was at a PLG company. We had a free trial. And one thing that was always so frustrating as a marketer was our main lead gen was our free trial, but I couldn't control it. Like if I wanted to change the form to sign up for a free trial, it'd go through a month-long sprint process, which understandably, the product team has so many more things to worry about than my form. So one thing we actually at my past company switched to Navattic partly for that exact reason. And one thing that was so amazing was I was then able to create these entirely, build them out on my own time. And we say it takes roughly about 30 minutes to an hour to build out one of these. The hardest part is really understanding the story you want to tell and kind of getting everyone aligned on what you want to show, not the actual building of the demo. And especially like a 5-step demo, if you're doing something real quick, that I've built those. And I probably built this Ahrefs example in 15 minutes.
Okay, that's interesting, and like that's very interesting for efficiency purposes as well. Okay, I don't know, but I feel that after this episode, I will have my content lead, our content lead, check out the website and give it a try. I would love to give it a try actually, to see how like what the use cases could be for us. But I would like to know, since you are obviously involved with the product on a daily basis, what other use cases do you see for Navattic in the future besides interactive product and even web page demos?
Yeah, one big one we're seeing that's been really cool picking up is like demo centers. So on your website, if you want to have, especially if you're a more complex product, something like we often get cybersecurity or fintech, where you have a lot of different features and use cases. You want to highlight all of those use cases in a simple way. They'll build out an entire demo library on your website. So you can go in, find which feature use case fits you, and then watch that interactive demo. Um, on top of that, we've also seen customers building out template galleries. So I think the like Mira and Canva examples of having those templates when you sign up or even pre-signing up has been great, showing for onboarding, activation, but even that still involves engineering. One of our customers, Accord, was planning on making a template gallery, but instead we're using engineering, and they realized that was going to take like 6 months to a year to do. So instead, they decided to use Navattic, and they were, I think, between signing and go live was about a week. Um, so being able to create those different examples, use cases for your customers, so they can understand your product before they even ever sign in, shows have been really powerful.
I love that. Do you see use cases outside of SaaS companies for that? I mean, when there is a product, it makes sense to like show a process. But as I understand it, and as I hear it from you, like this would make sense for a, I don't know, an e-commerce company who would like to like show that the process to check out is really simple and easy and straightforward. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've seen some like onboarding groups necessarily, or like kind of like Slack groups. We've seen some of those express interest where they wanted to show what it's like to sign up or what it's like to be a member. That's a much more few and far between. We definitely have mostly seen SaaS companies, but I do think anyone who wants to show, as you mentioned, e-commerce, if you want to show anything on the web quickly to customers, they could use interactive demos for that.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, uh, One of my last questions for you would be: you have a background in SaaS companies, and also you were and you are involved in content and SEO. My question is, how do you see what do you think the future holds for SaaS companies when it comes to content marketing and SEO?
I think it's really going to be that choose your own adventure taken to the next extreme. So whether it's, you enter a blog post and it says, hey, what part do you care about the most? And just directs you directly to that part, or says, would you rather read this, watch it as a video, or I don't know, take an interactive demo of it. I think just letting people learn how they want to learn in a very hands-on, engaging way is probably going to be the future, because we've seen so far, I feel like we've seen with video when that popped up, and then screenshots and GIFs and that popped up. And each one of these new mediums, it doesn't feel like an old one's being replaced. It feels like we're just giving the users more options, which is great, right? As a user, I tend to be more of a visual learner than a reader. So I love the fact that I could watch a quick video over necessarily reading it all out. So I think we're going to see more and more pop up with content there.
Okay, let's wait and see then. That was all very insightful, and I really like it. I really like the fact that we actually made it interactive. We made the episode about interactive content interactive. So thank you very much for that. And as I mentioned, like I really love the examples that you shared with us. Last question I have for you: where can people find out more about you and Navattic and get in touch if they'd like to?
Yeah. So for me, you can just go to my LinkedIn, Natalie Marcotullio. It's a pretty unique name, so it's pretty easy to find. If you have any questions about interactive content, SEO in general, always happy to chat. And then if you want to learn more about Navattic, you can go to our website, navattic.com, or our LinkedIn page. We actually post weekly a new customer spotlight. So if you're just curious to see more customer examples, if you go to our LinkedIn page, you'll see some of the awesome demos that our customers have built.
The timing is great for that because we are going to publish a list of SaaS SEO examples in a couple of weeks. And some of these examples that you shared are definitely going to go into that spreadsheet. So thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for the, I don't know, the fresh perspectives that you brought to the podcast. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next episode that we could potentially do sometime in the future together, where you will share even more examples with us. Thank you very much, Natalie.
Perfect. Yeah, our customers always surprise us with new use cases, so I'm sure I'll have some new ones soon. Thanks so much for having me, George.
Before you go, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free.